Hi everyone, it's Kelly from Kelly's Bead Boutique. So I would assume that everybody thinks that I sit down and I just create and have fun the whole time and it's all, fairy tales and roses. No, not always. There's actually a few things that I absolutely detest making, and I'm going to show you one of those today. I hate making them. I always have, I always will, but I really like the end result, so it's worth all the struggle. So if you have something that you don't like to do, just know that you're exactly like me. And if you want to see what I'm going to create today, come and join me. So the parts I'm going to be using today are this copper leaf and then this little copper ring. I also have some head pins with balls on the end. I have this really pretty check glass little bellflower and another little check glass piece here and a little 4mm check glass. I also have some chain that you can open up, which is kind of nice. It's a nice little textured chain. I have one of our little hexagon nuts, some little open jump rings, a little charm. I've got some chain and I've got a closed jump ring and I've got a lobster clasp. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make up all my little charms and get that out of the way. So I'm going to take one of my head pins and I'm going to go through the end of my little flower. Look how cute that is. I think these are so adorable. And I think these are available on our website. So now what I want to do is I'm going to create a messy wrap, or just sort of I'm not going to have a neck on it. So I'm just going to bend away right at the bead and I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I want to go down to the end. I don't want to have a very big loop on this. So I'm just going to go up and over and straight down, open my pliers and rotate them so that they're parallel to the table. And I'm going to bring that to the back. Now I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and go right across the loop. And you can probably use your hands on this one, but if not, you can use your bent chain nose. So always grab the tip of the wire with the tip of the tool. So I'm going to bring that down once, twice, and you want to let go so that it doesn't wrap around the tool. And then I'm going to work my way back up to the top. So again, this is meant to be sort of a bulky, messy wrap, so there's no right or wrong, just whatever works out for you. Now I'm going to take my cutters and I'm going to use the flush side and I'm going to trim off that little bit of extra wire there. Now if there's any burr, I want to come in and tuck that down. So I'm going to just take that end of my pliers and just gently tuck that down. So just kind of get everything situated the way you want, and there's our first little charm. Now we're going to make the second one. So I've got this other little check glass bead, and then I'm going to put the little hex nut on top of there just for a little bit of added interest. And now I'm going to bend away at the top there on that one again and make another little messy wrap. So up, over, down, rotate, bring that to the back, and then wrap up. So now again, on these little ones where you're kind of making a bulkier, messy wrap, you really can't go wrong. So if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, don't worry about it. This has been something I've had to learn how to get past. I have never been sort of good at the messy wrap because I've always been sort of a perfectionist and I really like to make the wraps look really uniform. So to just kind of go with it and let them be the way they have sort of landed is, it's a really new concept for me after all these years. So don't worry if yours doesn't look exactly like mine. Okay, so the last one I'm going to do is my little 4mm fire polish. So I'm just going to put that on the head pin. Now, if this is really hard to bend away on here, you're going to end up with quite a neck. So I'm going to just go right down to the very, very end of my pliers and just sort of bend away that way because it just gets really hard to push against it. And again, just make a little tiny loop. So up, over, down, rotate, pull that to the back, and then wrap that up. It's much easier to get these done, and then you can quickly build your piece. So go down a couple and then work my way back up a couple. I just like that little bit of a bulkier look on these. And then trim that off. And if you've got a little burr there, just give it a little tuck down. Okay, so now we have our little charms made. So now we're going to take one of our links off of our chain here. Now these are not soldered, so it's kind of nice. You can actually use these in your piece in a different way. So I'm going to open up one there and just put that off to the side. Okay, so now we're going to continue with the building of our necklace. So I'm going to take the top link of the chain and open that up and put it through my decorative ring. And then I want to tighten that up, and I want to make sure that it's nice and snug there. And then I'm going to open up the one on the opposite end. And I'm going to add my leaf. Now this does have, it's not a double-sided leaf, but we don't have to worry about that quite yet. So just make sure that's nicely closed up. So now what we have here is we have our decorative ring, and we have 3 links of chain, and then our feather. Okay, so now let's assemble this cluster. Now clusters are really hard to put together. I've never enjoyed doing them because you really have to play around with it. And I bet you this one took me probably a good 2 hours of putting all these different things over and over and over again until it hung just the way that I wanted. So if you're creating your own at home, don't be discouraged by the amount of time it can actually take to do this. You just want it to look nice, but it can take a little bit of working to get it there. So now I'm going to use that one link that I have left, and I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to put it on my little longer piece of check glass. So now I'm going to hook this into the bottom link there, and I'm just going to do that up. And I'll show you each one along the way so that you can really understand how that goes. So I put this on the very front there with that other link so that it just looked like another continuation of the chain, but it actually gave us a little bit of a drop down on front of the feather, and I really felt like it needed something on there. So now the second one that I'm going to add is my little sort of bellflower. And we're going to use all these small jump rings to attach these with. So I'm going to open this one up. So now I'm going to add it to the second link here on the outside of it. So I'm going to go like that and try to do this so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to come in on the side and add that there. And after each one, I'll just place it down so you can see where I've put it because it can get confusing. Okay, so now we've got the one in the front, and then we've got this one coming off the second link. Now I'm going to add this little guy. Now what I have to do is come back into that link that I opened up. So we're going into the link that's attaching the chain and the decorative ring. I'm going to open that back up again. And yes, I could have added it earlier, but it just too many steps. It can really confuse people. So I'm just going to add that in and do that up. So now you can see that we've got one coming off the side and we've got one sort of dangling off the front here. Okay, so now I'm going to add my little heart charm. And now this does have a sort of like a little slant on it, and I want that little bit that goes up to be on the outside. So I'm going to run my little jump ring through there. Now I'm going to place this on the second one here, and I'm going to put it on the outside. And I come from underneath, and that will make sure that the heart is going the right way. So there we go. So there's our little cluster. And you can see everything just kind of hanging off there. And I think that looks really, really cute. All right, so let's assemble the rest of this necklace. So now I'm going to add my chain. And in your kit, you'll get 17 inches of chain. I think this one looks a little cuter, shorter, but you could also make it longer. You could make this with leather. You could make it with suede, whatever you want. But for the kit purposes, we're going to use chain. And so this will end up about an 18-inch necklace. So I've got one link left here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this link of my chain up. I just wanted everything to sort of, flow together. And I'm going to find my midsection of here. So what I do is I just kind of pick a point and then hope for the best. And I can see that that's off a little bit, but now I know where I need to go. So I'm going to kind of come down here and see if that gets me more around the midsection. Sometimes with my old eyes, it's really hard to see where I'm trying to get into. I'm waiting for cataract surgery. Oh my God, I'm really old now. All right, so that got me right down to the middle of the chain, which is what I want. So I've got equal parts on either side. So now I'm going to come in here and do this up. Okay, so now what I do is I take it and I turn it around so that I know which way my necklace is going to go on. So if I'm right-handed, I want to put my lobster clasp in my right hand. It's just much easier to do it up. Of course, if you're left-handed, you can turn it around the other way. I always like to use one jump ring on one side. So we're going to open this up, put it through the end of the chain, and then run that through the end of the lobster clasp and do that up. Now on the other side, I've got another small jump ring. Open that up, put that through the last link, and I have a closed jump ring. I always think it's better to have something to put your lobster clasp through, and if you just try to end it with one of these teeny tiny jump rings, it's going to be really difficult for people to get it done up. So now you can see when you open that up, you've got a nice secure finish on that. All right, so there we go. There's our completed cluster necklace. Of course, these always look a whole lot better when they're actually hanging on somebody versus just laying flat on the table here. But I think you can get an idea of how cute this looks. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I don't create clusters very often. As I said before, they can be really challenging to get them to flow just right. But I'm really happy with the way this turned out. And I like to work with copper, so it was kind of a win-win. So if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to give me a like, leave me a comment. I love to hear from everybody. And please make sure to subscribe to my channel. If you do want to purchase your own kit, you just go into the drop-down menu below this video and there'll be a link that will take you directly to my fully secure website. I want to thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.